The twin suns of Lyra cast a golden glow across the capital city of Alaris, their light reflecting off the crystalline spires of the imperial palace. Inside the grand hall, the air was filled with the soft hum of energy fields and the gentle murmur of diplomatic discussions. Princess Zara, the jewel of the Lyran Empire, moved gracefully through the crowd, her presence commanding both respect and admiration. Zara had always been a symbol of hope and unity for her people. Her luminous blue eyes and flowing silver hair were the embodiment of Lyran beauty, but it was her intelligence and compassion that truly set her apart. As she engaged with dignitaries and scholars, she sensed an undercurrent of tension, a reflection of the broader unease that had gripped the Lyran society in recent months. The Cold War with the Grackler had cast a shadow over the Empire. The Grackler, a race known for their aggression and ruthless pursuit of power, had long coveted the energy, rich regions controlled by the Lyrans. Although open conflict had been avoided, the threat of war loomed ever present, a specter that haunted every decision made by the Lyran leadership. As the evening progressed, Zara excused herself from the gathering, seeking a moment of solitude in the palace gardens. The tranquil beauty of the gardens had always been her refuge, a place where she could escape the pressures of her royal duties. She wandered among the blooming flowers and bioluminescent plants, lost in thought. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes caught her attention. Before she could react, a group of masked figures emerged from the shadows, their movements swift and precise. Zara's heart pounded as she recognized the insignia of the Grackler on their dark uniforms. She tried to call for help, but a strong hand covered her mouth, silencing her cries. The Grackler operatives moved with military efficiency, binding Zara's hands and placing a neural inhibitor around her neck to prevent her from using her telepathic abilities. They dragged her towards a waiting shuttle, its engines humming ominously. As she was forced aboard, Zara caught a glimpse of a familiar face among her captors. A Lyran, one of her own people. Betrayal cut deeper than any physical restraint, and a sense of despair settled over her as the shuttle lifted off, leaving the safety of the palace far behind. Back in the palace, the alarm was raised almost immediately. The Emperor's advisors scrambled to respond, but the abduction had been meticulously planned. By the time the guards reached the gardens, there was no trace of the princess or her captors. Panic spread through the court like wildfire, and within hours, the news of Zara's kidnapping reached the Emperor. Emperor Thalion was a formidable leader, known for his wisdom and strength. But the abduction of his beloved daughter struck at his very core. He convened an emergency council, his mind racing to understand how this could have happened. Trust had been shattered, and suspicion hung heavy in the air. The Emperor's gaze swept over his advisors, his piercing blue eyes searching for any sign of guilt or deceit. "We must act swiftly," Thalion declared, his voice resolute. "Our first priority is to find Zara and bring her back safely. We cannot afford to let the Grackler think they have the upper hand." Among the gathered advisors was Lord Eric, a seasoned diplomat and one of the Emperor's most trusted confidants. He stepped forward, his expression grave. "Your Majesty, we have reliable allies among the humans. Their military expertise and technological prowess could prove invaluable in this crisis. Perhaps it is time to call upon our friends." The Emperor nodded, his decision made. "Send a message to Earth. Request their assistance immediately. We will need their help to uncover the traitors within our ranks and to mount a rescue mission for Zara." As the council dispersed to carry out their tasks, the Emperor retreated to his private chambers. Alone with his thoughts, he allowed himself a moment of vulnerability. The image of Zara's smiling face filled his mind, and he vowed to himself that he would not rest until she was safely returned. The stakes had never been higher, and the Cold War with the Grackler had just become intensely personal. On Earth, the message from Lyra arrived with a sense of urgency that could not be ignored. The human and Lyran civilizations had shared a long and fruitful alliance, built on mutual respect and cooperation. When the request for assistance came through, it was immediately escalated to the highest levels of the United Earth Federation. Colonel Donald Stark was in the midst of a strategic briefing with his command team when the call came in. A veteran of numerous space campaigns, Stark was known for his tactical brilliance and unwavering resolve. His rugged features and steely gaze spoke of a man who had seen and done it all, and yet remained unbroken. As the details of the situation were relayed to him, Stark's expression grew more intense. A royal kidnapping, he mused aloud, his mind already racing through potential scenarios. And internal betrayal. This is going to be a delicate operation. General Rachel Moore, Stark's superior and a close friend, appeared on the comm screen. "Donald, this is a priority 1 mission. The Lyrans are counting on us, and we cannot afford to fail. I want you to take your best team and head to Lyra immediately." Stark nodded, his resolve firm. True to his word, Stark and his elite task force were soon aboard the U.S. Resolute, one of Earth's most advanced starships. The journey to Lyra was swift, and as they approached the alien world, Stark took a moment to brief his team. "Listen up, everyone," he began, addressing his soldiers with the authority of a seasoned leader. "This isn't just another mission. We're here to help our allies, and that means we need to be at our best. The Lyran Empire is in turmoil, and they're relying on us to bring stability. Our primary objective is to locate and rescue Princess Zara. Secondary objectives include identifying and neutralizing any traitors within the Lyran court and gathering intelligence on the Grakelers' involvement." As the Resolute entered the Lyran atmosphere, Stark couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the sight of Alaris. The city was a marvel of alien architecture, its crystalline structures shimmering in the sunlight. But beneath its beauty lay a society on edge, and Stark knew that their presence was both a beacon of hope and a reminder of the dangers they faced. Upon landing, Stark and his team were greeted with a grand ceremony. Lyran soldiers stood at attention, and a delegation of officials awaited them. Despite the formalities, Stark sensed the underlying tension. He approached Emperor Thalion, who stood at the forefront of the delegation. "Your Majesty," Stark said, bowing respectfully, "Colonel Donald Stark, at your service. We're here to help in any way we can." The Emperor's eyes, though filled with gratitude, also held a steely determination. "Colonel Stark, your arrival brings us hope in these dark times. My daughter, Princess Zara, is the heart of our people. Her abduction has shaken us to the core. We have reason to believe that Grakler agents, with the aid of traitors within our court, are responsible. Your expertise and resources are crucial in uncovering the truth and bringing Zara back safely." Stark nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "We'll begin our investigation immediately, Your Majesty. Rest assured, we'll do everything in our power to bring your daughter home." As the formalities concluded, Stark and his team were escorted to their quarters within the palace. The Lyran people watched them with a mixture of hope and apprehension, aware that their fate was now intertwined with these human soldiers. Stark knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he was determined to see the mission through. That evening, as he reviewed the preliminary intelligence reports, Stark couldn't shake the feeling that this mission was unlike any he had undertaken before. The stakes were higher, the risks greater, and the consequences of failure unthinkable. But he also felt a sense of purpose, a resolve to stand by their allies and to restore peace to a world on the brink of war. Colonel Stark wasted no time in initiating his investigation. He assembled his team in the palace's command center, a high-tech room filled with holographic displays and communication terminals. Each member of his task force was a specialist in their field, hand-picked for their skills and experience. "All right, team," Stark began, addressing his officers. "Our primary objective is to locate Princess Zara. But to do that, we need to root out the traitors within the Lyran court. We'll be working closely with the Emperor's advisors, but we can't trust anyone completely. Stay vigilant and report anything suspicious." Major Elena Vasquez, an expert in cyber intelligence, was the first to speak. "Colonel, I've been going through the palace's security logs and communication records. There are some anomalies that suggest unauthorized access to sensitive information. I'm referencing these with the list of palace staff to narrow down our suspects." Captain David Chen, the team's tactical operations specialist, added, "I've been coordinating with the Lyran security forces to tighten the perimeter around the palace and key locations. We'll conduct thorough background checks and interrogations of anyone who had access to the princess or her quarters in the days leading up to the abduction." As the team dispersed to carry out their tasks, Stark remained in the command center, poring over the data. The palace was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, each with its own secrets. He knew that the traitors would be well hidden, their identities masked by layers of deceit. Hours turned into days as the investigation progressed. Stark and his team uncovered a web of intrigue and betrayal that reached deep into the heart of the Lyran court. Several high-ranking officials were implicated, their motives ranging from personal gain to ideological alignment with the Graekler. One evening, Stark received a report from Major Vasquez. "Colonel, I think I've found something. There's a pattern of encrypted communications between the palace and an off-world location. It matches the time frame of the princess's abduction. I believe this could be the Graekler's staging area." Stark leaned over the holographic display, examining the data. "Good work, Major. Can you trace the origin of these communications?" Vasquez nodded. "I'm working on it, but it will take some time to break through the encryption. In the meantime, I've identified a few individuals within the palace who had access to the encryption keys. We should bring them in for questioning." Stark agreed. "Let's move quickly." The next day, Stark and his team conducted a series of raids within the palace. They apprehended several suspects, including a prominent advisor to the Emperor. The interrogations were intense, each suspect subjected to rigorous questioning and lie detection techniques. It was during one of these sessions that they hit a breakthrough. The advisor, under immense pressure, finally broke down. "All right, I'll tell you what I know. It was Lord Narek. He orchestrated the whole thing. He's been working with the Graekler for years, feeding them information and planning this abduction. He's the one you want." Stark's eyes narrowed. Lord Narek was one of the Emperor's most trusted advisors, a pillar of the court. The revelation sent shockwaves through the palace. Stark wasted no time in confronting Narek, leading a team to his private quarters. When they arrived, Narek was gone. His chambers were empty, and it was clear he had fled at the first sign of trouble. Stark's frustration was palpable, but he refused to let the setback deter him. "We need to track him down. He knows where Princess Zara is being held, and we can't afford to lose him." Captain Chen spoke up. "Colonel, we should check the spaceport. If he's trying to leave the planet, that's our best bet to intercept him." Stark nodded. "Let's move. Time is of the essence." The team raced to the spaceport, coordinating with Lyran security forces to lock down all outgoing ships. After a tense search, they located Narek attempting to board a private shuttle. Stark and his team moved in, apprehending him before he could escape. Under interrogation, Narek was defiant at first, but the weight of his betrayal and the evidence against him eventually broke his resolve. He revealed the location of the planet where Princess Zara was being held, a remote and uncharted world on the fringes of Graekler, controlled space. Stark wasted no time in planning the rescue mission. With the coordinates in hand, they prepared for a daring operation to infiltrate the Graekler's stronghold and bring Zara home. The stakes were higher than ever, but Stark felt a renewed sense of determination. The pieces were falling into place, and the path to rescuing the princess was finally within reach. With the location of Princess Zara confirmed, Colonel Stark and his team began their preparations for the rescue mission. The planet where she was being held, known as Exarath 7, was a desolate and hostile world, far from any established trade routes or settlements. Its harsh environment and rugged terrain made it an ideal location for the Graekler to hide their most valuable prisoners. Stark assembled his team in the U.S. Resolute's war room, a space dominated by holographic maps and tactical displays. The atmosphere was tense but focused, as each member of the task force knew the critical importance of the mission. "Listen up," Stark began, his voice steady and authoritative. "Zareth, 7 is no walk in the park. The Graekler have chosen this location for a reason. We're expecting heavy resistance and a challenging environment. Our primary objective is to locate and extract Princess Zara. We move fast, we move smart, and we get her out alive." Major Vasquez, who had been analyzing satellite imagery and intelligence reports, spoke up. "We've identified several potential sites where Zara could be held. The most likely location is a fortified compound near the planet's equator. It's heavily guarded, and there are multiple defense systems in place. We'll need to disable those systems to get in and out safely." Captain Chen added, We'll divide into two teams. Alpha team, led by me, will handle the infiltration and disable the defenses. Bravo team, led by the colonel, will secure the princess and cover our extraction. Timing and coordination will be crucial. As final preparations were made, Stark took a moment to address his team personally. I know this mission won't be easy, but I have full confidence in each and every one of you. We've trained for this, and we have the skills and determination to succeed. Let's bring Princess Zara home. The Resolute entered orbit around Zareth, 7 under the cover of darkness, its advanced stealth systems keeping it undetected by Grackler sensors. The insertion team deployed in drop pods, streaking through the planet's atmosphere like meteors. The pods landed with precision near the compound, and the teams quickly disembarked, their movements swift and silent. Alpha team moved ahead, using advanced cloaking technology to evade detection. They approached the compound's perimeter, where a network of energy barriers and automated turrets posed a significant threat. Vasquez worked quickly to hack into the security systems, while Chen and his soldiers provided cover. Turrets deactivated, Vasquez reported, her fingers flying over the controls. Energy barriers are down. We're clear to move in. Bravo team, led by Stark, followed closely behind. They breached the compound's outer defenses and engaged in a series of close-quarters battles with Grackler guards. The enemy was well-trained and heavily armed, but Stark's team fought with precision and determination, cutting through the opposition with ruthless efficiency. As they advanced deeper into the compound, Stark's focus sharpened. They reached the detention area, a fortified section designed to hold high-value prisoners. The guards here were even more formidable, and the fighting grew fiercer. Stark's heart pounded as he led his team through the narrow corridors, each step bringing them closer to their objective. Finally, they reached the central holding cell. Stark's pulse quickened as he saw the familiar figure of Princess Zara, bound and guarded by a contingent of Grackler soldiers. With a final burst of effort, Bravo team overwhelmed the guards, securing the area. Stark approached Zara, his expression softening as he saw the relief in her eyes. "Princess Zara, we're here to get you out of here. Are you all right?" Zara nodded, her voice steady despite the ordeal. "I'm fine, Colonel." As Stark freed her from her restraints, the alarm systems in the compound blared to life. Reinforcements were on their way, and they had limited time to make their escape. "We need to move, now," Stark ordered, leading Zara and the team back through the compound. The extraction was a race against time. Alpha team had already secured the extraction point, and the Resolute's drop pods were ready for a quick getaway. The team fought off waves of Grackler soldiers, their resolve unshaken by the mounting danger. As they reached the extraction point, Stark helped Zara into one of the drop pods. "Hang on tight, Princess. We're not out of the woods yet." The pods launched, rocketing back towards the Resolute. The journey was turbulent, but Stark's focus remained on the mission. As they docked with the starship and made the jump to hyperspace, a sense of relief washed over him. They had done it. Princess Zara was safe. Back on the Resolute, Zara was given medical attention and a chance to rest. Stark took a moment to debrief his team, acknowledging their bravery and skill. "You all did an outstanding job. This mission was a success because of your dedication and teamwork. Let's get Zara back to Lyra." As the ship sped towards the Lyran homeworld, Stark allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The mission had been perilous, but their success was a testament to the strength of their alliance and the resilience of their spirit. They had struck a blow against the Grackler and restored hope to a people in desperate need. The journey back to Lyra was fraught with tension, as the Resolute navigated through potentially hostile space. The Grackler, aware of the rescue operation, had dispatched patrol ships in an attempt to intercept the human vessel. Colonel Stark knew that their mission was not over until Princess Zara was safely back on Lyran soil. In the ship's infirmary, Zara was recovering from her ordeal. Despite her physical exhaustion, her spirit remained unbroken. Stark visited her, a sense of relief and admiration in his eyes. "How are you holding up, Princess?" Zara managed a faint smile. "I've been better, but I'll survive." "Thank you, Colonel. I owe you my life." Stark shook his head. "You don't owe me anything, Princess. We're allies, and we protect our own. Just rest and regain your strength. We'll be home soon." The Resolute's journey was not without incident. As they neared the edge of Grakeler, controlled space, the ship's sensors detected an incoming fleet. Captain Elena Drake, the ship's commander, called an emergency meeting in the bridge. "Colonel Stark, we have multiple Grakeler ships on an intercept course," Drake reported, her tone grim. "They're not going to let us leave without a fight." Stark nodded, his expression resolute. "We knew this wouldn't be easy. Prepare for evasive maneuvers and engage the enemy if necessary. We need to get Princess Zara back to Lyra at all costs." The next few hours were a blur of activity as the Resolute's crew prepared for battle. The Grakeler ships closed in, their intent clear. The first shots were fired, and the Resolute responded in kind, its advanced weaponry lighting up the void of space. Stark coordinated the defense, his tactical mind working at full speed. Focus on their lead ship. If we can take it out, we might disrupt their formation and buy ourselves some time. The Resolute's cannons unleashed a barrage of fire, targeting the Grakeler flagship. The enemy vessel returned fire, and the ship rocked from the impact. Despite the intensity of the battle, Stark's calm demeanor inspired confidence in his crew. Meanwhile, Zara watched the battle unfold from a secure location within the ship. Her heart raced as she saw the flashes of light and heard the distant rumble of explosions. She had always admired the humans for their bravery and resilience, but seeing them in action deepened her respect and gratitude. The battle raged on, each side sustaining heavy damage. The Resolute's shields flickered, and alarms blared as critical systems were hit. Stark knew they couldn't withstand the onslaught much longer. "Captain Drake, we need to make a run for it. Plot a course for Lyra and engage the hyperdrive as soon as we're clear of their weapons range." Drake acknowledged the order, her fingers flying over the controls. Course plotted. All hands brace for evasive maneuvers. With a final, desperate push, the Resolute's engines roared to life. The ship veered sharply, evading the Grakeler's attacks and accelerating towards the edge of the system. The Grakeler ships pursued, but the Resolute's advanced propulsion systems gave them the edge they needed. As they reached the edge of the system, Stark gave the command. "Engage the hyperdrive. Let's get out of here." In a burst of light, the Resolute jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Grakeler fleet behind. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, their victory hard, earned but incomplete until they reached Lyra. The journey through hyperspace was tense but uneventful. Stark took the opportunity to check on Zara, who was resting in the ship's infirmary. "We're almost there, Princess. Just a little longer." Zara nodded, her gratitude evident. "Thank you, Colonel." When the Resolute emerged from hyperspace near Lyra, they were met with a welcoming sight. The Lyran defense fleet, alerted to their approach, escorted them to the planet's surface. The news of Zara's rescue had spread, and a sense of hope and anticipation filled the air. Stark and his team were met with the gratitude and admiration of the Lyran people. The return to Lyra marked a turning point for both the Lyran Empire and their human allies. The successful rescue of Princess Zara had not only restored hope to the Lyran people, but had also solidified the bond between the two civilizations. As the Resolute touched down, the atmosphere was one of celebration and renewed determination. The Emperor, with tears of relief in his eyes, embraced his daughter as she stepped off the ship. The people of Alaris gathered in the Grand Plaza, cheering and waving banners. It was a moment of triumph, but also a reminder of the challenges that still lay ahead. Colonel Stark and his team were honored in a grand ceremony. The Emperor personally thanked each member of the task force, recognizing their bravery and dedication. Stark, ever the humble leader, accepted the accolades with grace, always redirecting the praise to his team and their collective effort. In the days that followed, Stark and his team remained on Lyra, assisting with the investigation into the Grakeler infiltration and helping to strengthen the planet's defenses. The Emperor, grateful for their continued support, provided them with every resource they needed. One evening, as the sun set over the crystalline spires of Alaris, Stark found himself in a private meeting with the Emperor. They discussed the ongoing threat posed by the Grakeler and the need for a united front. "Colonel Stark," the Emperor began, his tone serious but respectful. "The Graekler's actions have shown us that we cannot take our security for granted. We must be vigilant and prepared for whatever comes next. Your assistance has been invaluable, and I believe our alliance is stronger than ever." Stark nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Your Majesty, the Graekler are a formidable enemy, but we've shown that together we can overcome any challenge. We'll continue to support you in any way we can." The Emperor's gaze softened. "There is one more matter to discuss, Colonel. My daughter, Zara. She has spoken highly of you and your team. Her admiration for you is evident, and I can see that she has grown stronger through this ordeal." Stark met the Emperor's eyes, understanding the depth of his words. "Princess Zara is an extraordinary individual, Your Majesty. It has been an honor to assist in her rescue and to witness her resilience." The Emperor smiled, a hint of warmth in his eyes. "I believe she feels the same way about you, Colonel. Whatever the future holds, know that you and your people have a place here on Lyra. Our bond is unbreakable." As Stark left the meeting, he felt a sense of fulfillment and purpose. The mission had been a success, but it was the connections they had forged that mattered most. The Lyrans and humans were now united in their struggle against the Graekler, ready to face the challenges of the future together. Zara, meanwhile, had been adjusting to her return to royal life. She was more determined than ever to contribute to the peace and prosperity of her people. Her experiences had changed her, imbuing her with a newfound sense of purpose and strength. One evening, she sought out Stark in the palace gardens. The same gardens where she had been abducted now seemed like a place of healing and reflection. "Colonel Stark," Zara greeted him with a smile, "you've done more than just rescue me. You've given us hope and strengthened our alliance." Stark smiled, his respect for the princess evident. "Princess Zara, it was a team effort, but I'm glad we could make a difference. Your strength and resilience have been an inspiration to us all." Zara's eyes softened, and for a moment the formalities between them faded. "Donald, I owe you my life, and I want you to know that you and your people will always have a place here on Lyra. Together, we can achieve so much more." As they stood together, the future seemed filled with promise. The challenges were far from over, but they faced them with a renewed sense of unity and purpose. The bond between Lyrans and humans was stronger than ever, and together they would build a brighter future. The days following Princess Zara's return were a whirlwind of activity. The Lyran Empire, with the support of their human allies, began to rebuild and fortify their defenses. The threat of the Graekler remained ever present, but the spirit of unity and cooperation between the Lyrans and humans was stronger than ever. Colonel Stark and his team continued to work closely with the Lyran military, sharing their expertise and training. The collaboration led to significant advancements in both strategy and technology, as the two civilizations combined their strengths to prepare for any future conflicts. Princess Zara, now fully recovered, took an active role in the diplomatic efforts to strengthen the alliance. Her experiences had transformed her from a sheltered royal into a determined leader, ready to fight for her people and their allies. She and Stark often found themselves working side by side, their mutual respect and admiration growing with each passing day. One afternoon, as they reviewed plans for a joint military exercise, Zara turned to Stark with a thoughtful expression. "Colonel, there's something I've been meaning to discuss with you." Stark looked up from the holographic map, his attention fully on her. Zara hesitated for a moment, then continued. "I've been thinking a lot about the future of our alliance. The Graekler are a formidable enemy, and we need to be prepared for anything. But more than that, we need to be prepared for anything. But more than that, we need to build a foundation of trust and cooperation that goes beyond just military support." Stark nodded, understanding her point. "I agree, Princess. Our alliance is more than just a strategic partnership. It's about shared values and mutual respect. What do you have in mind?" Zara's eyes sparkled with determination. "I want to propose a formal alliance between our peoples. Not just an agreement of mutual defense, but a true partnership that includes cultural exchange, economic cooperation, and joint scientific endeavors. Together, we can achieve so much more." Stark smiled, impressed by her vision. That sounds like a wonderful idea, Princess. I'm sure the United Earth Federation would be open to such a proposal. We've already seen the benefits of working together, and formalizing our alliance would only strengthen those bonds. With Stark's support, Zara presented her proposal to the Emperor and the Lyran Council. The idea was met with enthusiasm and approval, and plans were quickly set in motion to draft a formal treaty. Representatives from both civilizations gathered to discuss the terms and details, each side eager to contribute to the shared vision. The signing ceremony was held in Alaris, in a grand hall filled with dignitaries and representatives from both worlds. The atmosphere was one of celebration and hope, as the two civilizations took a historic step forward. Emperor Thalion and President Jackson of the United Earth Federation signed the treaty, sealing the new alliance with a handshake and a shared commitment to peace and cooperation. The crowd erupted in applause, and the sense of unity was palpable. As the celebrations continued, Zara and Stark found a moment to speak privately. "This is just the beginning," Zara said, her eyes shining with hope. "Together, we can face whatever challenges come our way and build a brighter future for both our peoples." Stark nodded, his expression filled with pride and determination. "I'm honored to be a part of this, Princess. We've come a long way, and I have no doubt that our alliance will only grow stronger." The bond between the Lyrans and humans had been forged in the fires of conflict and tempered by the strength of their shared values. As they looked towards the future, they knew that together they could achieve greatness. The challenges of the galaxy were far from over, but with their new alliance, the Lyrans and humans stood ready to face them, united in their resolve and determined to build a lasting legacy of peace and cooperation. The new alliance between the Lyrans and humans marked the beginning of a new era. The combined efforts of their scientists, engineers, and diplomats led to advancements in technology, medicine, and exploration that benefited both civilizations. Princess Zara and Colonel Stark continued to work closely together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. Their partnership symbolized the unity and cooperation that had become the foundation of the new alliance. As the years passed, the galaxy watched as the Lyrans and humans stood together against the challenges that came their way. Their shared vision of a brighter future inspired other civilizations to join their cause, and the seeds of a galactic federation began to take root. The journey had been long and fraught with danger, but the bond between the Lyrans and humans had proven unbreakable. Together they faced the unknown with courage and determination, ready to build a future filled with hope and possibility. And as they looked towards the stars, they knew that the legacy of their alliance would endure, a testament to the power of unity and the strength of the human and Lyran spirit.